Students, I think all are doing well at home. So we'll discuss the next lecture, that is dividend theories and models. That is very important topic from your finals point of view. So please read it very carefully. So there are basically two type of models if we are talking about approaches of a dividend policy. So the first point is irrelevance model, where we are discussing about two models. One is a residual approach and another is Modigliani and Miller approach, or Miller and Modigliani approach. That is also famous by the name of approach of dividend policy. The another approaches are relevance approaches that we will discuss later on, under which we will discuss Walter approach and Gordon approach. So we will discuss it one by one. So first we will move towards what is the relevance model. So according to the relevant theory, according to this concept, investors do not pay any importance to the dividend history of the company, and thus dividend are irrelevant, sorry, and have no impact on the value of the firm. Which means if we are paying a dividend, if we are not paying a dividend, that do not impact the value of the firm as per the investor's point of view. So first point is residual approach. The residual theory of the dividend policy holds that the firm will only pay dividend from residual earnings that are basically after, you can say, paying for the capital expenditures. So what we have left after paying a capital expenditures, that is known as residual earnings. So we'll discuss again that is a dividend should be pay only if funds remain after the optimum level of capital expenditure is incurred. That is, all suitable investment opportunities have been financed. With the residual dividend policy, the primary focus of firm is on investments, and hence dividend policy is a passive decision variable. The value of the firm is direct function of its investment decision, thus making dividend policy irrelevant. So basically here dividend do not impact the value of the firm. So it is a residual approach. Either we are paying a dividend or we are not paying a dividend. We are only paying a dividend only when we are left with, you can say, residual earnings, which means after paying a capital expenditures. So we'll discuss the another approach that is known as that is famous by Modigliani and Miller hypothesis or approach. So under this approach, there is a chart from which we clear all the things. Value of firm or wealth of the shareholders, we know that that is a main objective of every organization. That depends upon firm's earning, that depends upon firm investment policy, and there is no not on that doesn't impact on dividend policy. So according to dividend policy of the firm is irrelevant as it does not affect the value or wealth of the shareholders. They argue that the value of the firm depends on the firm's earnings, which results from the investment policy. Thus, when investment decision of the firm is given, dividend decision here split of earnings between dividends and retained earnings. We have already discussed that is in the previous lecture. It is of no significance in determining the value of the firm. Hypothesis of irrelevance is based on the following assumptions. The first one is capital market are perfect and information is freely available to all. Second is investors are act rationally, means they are spending at a rational level. The third one is transaction costs are nil, Means if we are buying or selling securities, there is no transaction cost. Next is no investor can influence the market price of the share, because there is no big investor who can impact the market. The next one is taxes do not exist. The last one is the firm has fixed investment policy. So if we will discuss, there are some formulas under hypothesis, under which they discuss about rate of return. Rate of return is basically, if we are investing into the shares, then we are getting dividend plus there is a capital gain or loss. So if we can add both the things, that is equal to return divide by the purchase price. That should be discussed in this formula. P0 is equal to di plus pi upon 1 plus k, which is always equal to dividends plus capital gain. Either we are getting dividend or we are getting some capital gain or loss. That should be divided by purchase price. If we can multiply it with the 100, so we get a return. So multiply both the sides of equation by number of shares outstanding. We obtain the total value, that is the total value of the firm. So value of the firm is equal to number of shares multiplied by P0. P0 stands for market price per share at previous times, which is equal to N, that should be multiplied with D1 plus P1. D1 stands for dividend per share at current price. P1 stands for market price of the share at current time, divided by 1 plus K. K stands for capitalization rate or cost of capital. So here we will discuss how we find a return. So under this approach, we are discussing about there is no relevance um, of dividend on the value of the firm. So there are criticisms of approach if we are discussing the last topic, that is assumptions. Capital markets are perfect and information is freely available to all. That is basically not freely available to all. Sometime some of the users can use insider information of the industry. Investors are act rationally. We are not always acting as a rational. Transaction costs are nil. I think there may be a transaction cost for buying and selling of securities, that is known as brokerage. No investor can influence the market price of the share, but there are some investors, if we are talking about a foreign financial institutions, they can impact the market price of the share because they are large investors. Tax does not exist. That is basically an impractical assumption, because tax are exist in the market. The firm has fixed investment policy. In today's era, we have to change our investment policy from day to day. So I think if we can write opposite to the assumptions, that are criticisms. So we'll write here no perfect capital market, lack of relevant information. The assumption that tax does not exist is far from reality. No fixed investment policy. So in the next lecture, we will discuss about Walter's approach and Gordon's approach. Thank you so much. If you have any query, then please text me personally. Thank you.